has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. Here we go, hour 3 of C2C on a thirsty Thursday, of course. Later tonight, amongst the NBA, College Rack, NHL, there is Pain Day, Steelers and Browns, and alleged, I've seen it snow in Cleveland. It was Flurry City an hour ago. So the rest of the NBA games we're hitting here as we cruise into this last hurrah, the money time. This is crunch time.
Crunch time on C2C, and we'll start with the 4-pack of NBA for this evening. Detroit will be in Charlotte against the Hornets this evening. Pistons road favorites here, -2 and a hook. 221.5 is the total at the Hive.
Yeah, I feel like, honestly, I feel like LaMelo and the Hornets are going to win the game.
Hornets. Home dogs getting involved this evening.
That's
Next,
right.
The T-Wolves are in Toronto against the Raptors. Minnesota -7.5. 225.5 is the total.
So what? We saw yesterday, right? Toronto's like 10-3 against the spread. I'll take Toronto and 7.5 at home.
Toronto with the 7.5 at home. Toronto's been very, like you mentioned, one of the best teams in the NBA. Against the spread this year. They look to keep that going tonight. The Jazz are in San Antonio against the Spurs. Spurs, of course, still no Wembanyama, although they did not need him the other night when they beat the Thunder, that's for sure. Clarkson's a game time for Utah. As of right now, Spurs -2.5, 224.5 the total.
Yeah, am I living dangerously taking the Spurs again?
I don't think so. I think it's the Spurs. I think this goes back to what we were saying last week. Like, they've actually surrounded Wembanyama with some decent veteran pieces this year. And, like, you get a night like tonight or a night like the other night where he doesn't play, they still have a few guys that can eke out some wins. So I think the Jazz suck. Honestly, I think the Jazz are awful. So I think that it is San Antonio tonight.
Except they covered for me the other night at the Crypt against the Lakers with 11.
They did. The Lakers will try to cover again tonight as they get the Magic on a back-to-back. So the Magic lost to the Clippers at the Intuit Dome last night. They go to the Crypto tonight. Lakers -5.5, 215.5 the total.
Yeah, I don't think that Orlando has any chance whatsoever to stop Davis. I think Davis tonight goes over 40 and over 10 double figs in rebounds. And I won't be surprised at all. I mean, he's a double-double waiting to happen. He might even have a triple-double tonight against this team. I think Orlando, Franz Wagner's tough, but they have no one that can guard Anthony Davis. They really don't. And I think the Lakers cover. And they've won, what are they, looking for 7 in a row? I think they're looking for 7.
I believe so, yes. And staying undefeated at home. At home, they have been excellent, the Lakers, so far this year. So we'll see if that keeps up. So there, quiet slate, only 4 games. Tomorrow night, NBA Cup again, as you get a bunch of group play games in that. I was looking at the slate earlier. It's not great, but they're NBA Cup games, so we'll be able to find our way to get involved in all of them if we so choose. Next, college football. Do have one game tonight before we get into some other things. ACC game between NC State and Georgia Tech as the Rambling Wreck, of course, down at Bobby Dodd this evening. Right now, -8.5 for Georgia Tech with the 51.5 total.
Well, I think the number's too big, and obviously, we've seen. I've seen it still at 9. You can get 9 points with NC State. I do not believe that Georgia Tech. Now, I saw them beat Miami. That was to me, their season was right there. But I don't think they blow anyone out. And NC State's 5-5 or whatever. I think they're good enough to go in there and cover 9.
Kind of what you and Gabe were saying earlier is where I'm at. I think Georgia Tech is it's good to back them when they're getting points against a good team. They're spunky. I don't know if I want to lay the lumber with them in this spot, even at home, especially over a touchdown. I think it's NC State for me here in this one. All right, I've got, we do this we try to fit this in either Wednesday or Thursday. The updated conference odds for you with college football. And the number of teams that can win these conferences is obviously dwindling. ACC, there's only 3. Miami minus 105, SMU plus 150, Clemson plus 450. If Miami and SMU take care of their business the next 2 weeks, they will play in the ACC title game.
I think SMU's got problems on their hand on Saturday. So, I think Miami will have problems on their hands in Syracuse next week. So I don't think we're done seeing either one of them lose, to be honest with you.
On the Big Ten side of things, of course, we already know that Oregon is in the title game. If Indiana wins on Saturday, I saw today that puts, and they beat Purdue, they would be Oregon's opponent, obviously in the title game, since they would have an undefeated season. Ohio State needs to win their last 2 games, and they will play Oregon. There is some crazy long shot ways for Penn State to get involved, but that's why they're 65-1. But Ohio State's the favorite, so the books think that if they get that rematch in Indianapolis, of course, Oregon beat them out there at Autzen, that Ohio State would win the second time around in Indy.
I agree with that. And I thought, frankly, they should have won the game at Autzen. I mean, Howard took off running with the ball. Obviously didn't know how much time was left. He wasn't staring at the clock when he was running, and guys were chasing him to kill him. And then he just ran right past the gun, right past the clock ending at zeros, and there was no time left, and they ended the game that way. It was a moron play. He should have been smarter than that. They were already in field position to kick a field goal. Why didn't he just go down? He screwed up mentally. That's why he effed it all up. Otherwise, they win the game. They have a good kicker. So if they play him again, I think Ohio State beats him. Ohio State will win the Big Ten like they always do. And they're not losing to Indiana tomorrow either. Now, I want Indiana to win more than anything in the world, and I don't even know if they can cover.
I'm hoping that they can. I don't know if they can cover either, but I'm hoping that they can cover on Saturday. We'll talk a lot about that tomorrow. The Big 12, believe it or not, there are still 9 teams that can go to the Big 12 title game and potentially win it. There's a lot of different scenarios depending on what happens over the next 2 weeks, but Colorado's the favorite at even money. BYU and Arizona State next. Iowa State's plus 750, and all those teams, Kansas State, Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech, they're long shots, but there are scenarios that get them in the title game, as long shots as they are.
So if Arizona State beats BYU and Tempe, which I think they will, is it going to be Colorado and Arizona State in the Big 12 title game?
I believe that if Arizona State wins the next 2 weeks and Colorado wins the next 2 weeks, they would play each other in Dallas in the Big 12 title game. They have the easiest path, yes.
But do you think Arizona State's going to? Do you think Arizona State's going to beat BYU and Tempe?
I do. I'm not a believer in BYU. I think that Arizona State is going to beat them. I love what they've been a great story this year. I'm sure the Big 12's not going to love it, but I think that Arizona State's going to take care of business.
I do too.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Well, yesterday you promised that we would do Prime, and we've got him for you. Very exciting.
Yes, very exciting indeed. I have a few things to talk to you about with Prime today as Colorado gets ready to play Kansas at Arrowhead on Saturday, which is a very big game. Travis Hunter is the favorite for the Heisman. I'll get to that in a moment, but every week it seems like Deion Sanders sits up there and has to try to defend Travis Hunter's Heisman candidacy to everybody. This week, it was defending his tackle numbers, which for a cornerback, as Deion's about to tell you, really don't matter all that much. Here he is.
The latest thing that people have used to try to tear down Travis's Heisman campaign is his tackle numbers.
Oh, my
I was
God.
curious if you could explain for those who don't know.
How can you make tackles? First of all, if a cornerback has 8 tackles in the game, do you guys know what that means? Anybody? That means they caught 6 balls. That's what that means. They caught 6 balls on him because 2 of those are probably run support. But that means you caught 6 balls. So if you see a corner with a lot of tackles, that's not a good sign. Okay? So just those of you out there in the world of football, if you see a corner with a lot of tackles, they've caught a lot of balls on him. All right? Is that good enough for you? There you go.
He ain't wrong. He ain't wrong. It's pretty simple. Like, you don't want him to have any tackles. That means that the guy he's covering ain't catching the football. That's like the whole. So Prime's right about that.
How about the guy that thought up the question? You know what? I'm going to come in with an angle today. What's wrong with tackle numbers?
Well, but I like also Howie, because I guess this is how you got to do this with Deion now. These guys that cover him, he had to butter up Deion too, because he's like, why don't you explain how that doesn't matter? Because Deion is such a great corner. He's a Hall of Fame cornerback. Why don't you explain why you don't want to have tackles as a corner? And that was the perfect runway for Deion to just run with that right there. Hunter is the favorite for this Heisman with a couple of weeks to go. He's moved to minus 400 now. Significant favorite with Genty second and Cam Ward at third. I said this the other day, and I think it was the day you weren't here because the Prime Minister was with me. If Colorado loses on Saturday to Kansas, are they going to treat Hunter the same way on the odds board and all these voters, the same way they treated Cam Ward when he lost to Georgia Tech? because Cam Ward lost and he was dropped to
Like
14, 15, 16-1. So if you're going to treat the quarterbacks like it's an MVP award and their team has to win, are you going to treat a great wide receiver / corner like Travis Hunter the same way? Is he going to get the same treatment if Colorado loses again in the next 2 weeks?
And remember that these are the only 2 weeks left. There's only 2 games left. There's the college season ends, next week is the last game. So then in my view, if they lose to Kansas at Arrowhead, and Kansas is playing really well right now at the end of the season. They've been winning games that matter, and they won at Arrowhead already against a good team. So I think that at that case, then Jenny will win it. I don't think they're giving it to Cam Ward because he lost to Georgia Tech, and that's just all there is to it. He had a horrible game that day, and that's costing him the Heisman. It doesn't matter. He's going to go get drafted in the first round in the NFL and be set for life. And if you're going to cry over spilled milk, then cry about losing to Georgia Tech.
He's already got enough money to buy all that ice for his offensive line, so he's doing okay one way or the other. I know that's funny when he did that. Now
he won't talk to any of those people in 20 years, but he gave them $2 million each. Remember that. You'll regret that one day when you have no money coming in.
When do we get, it's amazing. It really is. That's a lot of ice that he got. Michael Irvin says that Deion would be willing to coach the Cowboys if they drafted Shedeur Sanders as quarterback. Let me ask you something. How is Deion going to go? Deion's not leaving Colorado. In fact, today, he signed the number 2 player on the entire top 300 prospects for this year, quarterback Julian Lewis, who's going to replace Shedeur next year. So if he's going to be leaving for the NFL, why the hell is he signing the number 2 5-star quarterback in the entire country to go play at Colorado next year? I don't think he'd be doing that.
So he's not.
I don't think he's going to the NFL. No. I don't believe any of that. I think that he's now acquiring a lot of talent at Colorado, and I think he sees, especially this year, that there's going to be a path to getting that playoff yearly if he builds a good enough team. That's just something that he sees, and I think he's sticking with it there. And the latest mock NFL draft has Shedeur to the Raiders, Travis Hunter to the Titans, and Cam Ward to the Browns. They have, and the people who think they know, latest mock draft has all of those things happening.
That is such a bunch of bullshit that they are already predicting where guys are going in the NFL draft, honestly. I mean, they haven't even finished playing yet, but they already know where they're going pro. They know they know every draft pick. That's like, is there anything worse than the mock draft season? Like with all these people that they pay money to pick drafts. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous.
It's the same thing as I said to you with the bracketology last week. I know that they need a reason to justify the existence of them to do these jobs. But how can we wait on the mock drafts until we know the actual order of the draft? There's 7 weeks left in the NFL season. Right. You know how much is going to change between now and the end in terms of who's going to have the top 5 picks? It's just we need to constantly churn out. Got to just churn out all those predictions and hot takes.
Mock drafts should be illegal. They should be illegal in.
They should be
in the NFL and in college basketball going pro, where guys are going, and guys that actually get paid to make terrible predictions. It is the worst thing ever. I hate when they even talk about it here on this network. Like, I'm a know-it-all, and I'm going to tell you exactly where everyone's slotted in the upcoming draft. Oh, my God, it's so embarrassing.
two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like and be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
What are we doing here? How about some college rack?
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff to get to you here before you talk to Adam, so let's get it all in. First of all, here's some games for tonight. Now, there's a lot of, over the next week and a half, a lot of neutral site games, so you got to keep your eye on where a lot of these are, including tonight, the Bahamas Championship doubleheader here. Baylor and St. John's in the first game. Virginia and Tennessee are going to play in the second game of that. So doubleheader in the Bahamas tonight. The winners are going to play tomorrow night. Those second games that I have for you there, Syracuse and Texas are at the Barclays Center tonight for the Legends Classic, Texas Tech and St. Joe's in the nightcap at the Barclays Center in the Legends Classic.
St. Joe's. Yeah, I think Texas Tech will beat them, and then Texas will beat Syracuse. I think, Tennessee and Virginia, that's in the Bahamas. I think that game will be closer than 12.5. And so I'll take Virginia in the points. And I think Baylor, when they lost to Spokane by like 60 points, that was it for me. I'm like, okay, really? That they're going to lose by like 60 to Gonzaga? That was embarrassing. So I actually, I see their favor, but I think the Johnnies can flat out beat them. I mean, this is just up and down. This is mano a mano. Let's go. Straight man. Let's see who can win this game in the Bahamas. St. John's can play with anybody. Patino is a good coach. And I think Drew's a good coach. But I've never seen a team of his lose by 60 points ever in a game. That was embarrassing. I honestly, I don't know. Like, did you not lose some respect for them, Carver High?
Yeah, that's a tough way to go. And this would be good for Patino. If he could go down there to Bahamas and beat Baylor tonight and then beat the winner of that Tennessee-Virginia game tomorrow night, that's a hell of a way to start the St. John season if Patino can pull that off.
Yeah.
So let's see if he can. Now, you do have some other games. Indiana is at home tonight with UNC Greensboro coming in. That Vandy, Nevada game is part of those Charleston, South Carolina Shriners Classic games that's going on today. Oregon State are playing in Corvallis. Air Force and Cal late night in Berkeley.
Yeah, look, I think Oregon will win in Corvallis, believe it or not. And I like Cal at home. I don't know if that game's at home. I mean, you said the Nevada game's in Charleston. Nevada, what Albert has going there, they're better than Vanderbilt. They really are. I'll take them with a shot, with a pack, laying 2.5. And, I think Indiana should cover that number against Greensboro, to be honest with you. I've seen Greensboro is what? Like, did I not see them? Like, I want to see what their record is going into that game. They're 2-1. All right. So, and I want to look really quick at, I just have to see. So their games have been, they lost to SMU by 7, and they beat Florida Gulf Coast by 9.
9, yeah.
So they lost that game. By the way, that was not right. 81-68 SMU beat their ass. So Indiana's better than SMU. Right now they are. Yeah. So I think they got a shot to cover the number.
Why not? There's several other games tonight if you want to get involved. Gino Auriemma becomes the winningest coach in D1 history. He passes Vanderveer, 1,217. Congratulations to Gino. I don't know if you saw this or not.
40 years at the same school.
40 years, same school.
Now listen,
I'm sure you didn't see this last night. Go ahead. I'll save this for later.
Real quick. 98 game winning streak and 111 game winning streak. That is the craziest thing I have ever seen in my life in basketball. He had 2 of the greatest runs ever in the history of the game. I've never, women, 111 straight wins, 98 straight wins. I mean, holy shack. I mean, honestly, that guy, 11 titles. He's gone to, what is it, like, I saw the other day, like, 23 of the last 24 Final Fours? Like, what?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, in there. It's a very large number that you have. Gino, the greatest of all time in that department. That's for sure. National championships, Final Fours.
He's better than
now wins. With what he's done, no doubt about it, he has. Later on, I'll start leftovers with, I'm sure you didn't see this, the Syracuse women's coach, Felicia Leggett-Jack, went bonkers last night after they lost to Albany at home. So I have to show you.
Gonna show?
I will show you that in leftovers after you talk to Adam. I'll say that's. I'm not leaving that one behind. You're going to see that one today. It's too good.
Guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like and be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting Above the Rim, only on SportsGrid.
From sea to shining sea. It's Ferrall Coast to Coast. And, of course, on Thursdays, we have the pleasure of having the great Adam Kaplan, our NFL insider, on C2C for a double shot. He'll do 2 segments. And the second segment, fans clamor for Bust a Cap in Yo Ass, which has become notorious G. In fact, this show has wiped out another show with its popularity. Coast to Coast has wiped out Around the Horn, which was a show based on seeing who would eventually have the ugliest, oldest guys on TV show. We just ran a competition, believe it or not, and I like these people, but I'm still mean, that Woody Page beat Bob Ryan to the Tales of the Crypt trophy for the final season of Around the Horn. We'll talk more about that later. But Adam, now you can follow him at Kaplan NFL on X. 30 years almost covering the NFL and setting the bar very high. Thursday Night Intel is where we begin with the Steelers and Browns. Of course, Adam came on in the break and wanted to talk about the Bills and not the better team, the Steelers, even though they were playing tonight. Adam's got a hair up his tuchus for the Steelers because he loves the Eagles so much that he hates anyone from Western Pennsylvania. Right. It's true.
First of all, what did I tell you back in May? I said take the over in the Steelers wins. Okay, did I not tell you?
You like them.
Now, let's. I have an affection for the way that they do business. Okay, they're a little bit better than I thought. They're really, really good. Now, as someone close to the situation told me with the Steelers, when you have a game on a short week after an emotional win at home, you just hope that now this is a divisional game, back-to-back divisional games against an inferior team. You hope there's not a letdown. Clearly, Scott, the Steelers should blow out the Browns, but it doesn't work that way on paper. You got to play the game tonight. Now, this game in Cleveland tonight is going to have rain almost throughout the entire game. They've had some snow, some sleet, some rain. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be a lot of running tonight from Najee Harris. The good thing about your Steelers, not only playing dominant football on both sides of the football, they're really, really healthy. If you want to look at why teams could sustain success this season, look no further than their injury report. The only guy that's going to be out tonight is Alex Highsmith, who missed time earlier this season. Now he's out again with his ankle injury. I'm told that they're pretty hopeful over the next 2 weeks he'll be able to return. Now, Nick Herbig, right? Nick Herbig just came back from his hamstring injury, and he played great last week for Highsmith. He'll do it again tonight. See, there's another thing about your Steelers. They're so deep. They have 4 legitimate pass rushers. They're all good, and they're really well coached. This is a really good football team. That was a great win last week. Tonight they play in Cleveland. And Cleveland, by the way, Jameis Winston played lights out last week, but they couldn't stop Taysom Hill, who was unbelievable, the 35-year-old multi-purpose player for the Saints. But Jameis Winston tonight can't turn that ball over in bad weather. Now, they're down 2 left tackles tonight. That does concern me. Other than that, they got to figure out a way to score. That bogged down a little bit in the red zone. They had their opportunities. Jameis threw the ball really well. But tonight it's going to be much harder against a better defense. They're going to have trouble scoring tonight. Your Steelers should have no problem tonight. I know they played on paper. But I think, Scott, there's got to be something to this emotional letdown because how in the world are they only a 3.5-point favorite?
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that or the fact that it's only 3.5. And it reminds me of BYU. Why were they only 2.5? And they lost. That's why they were 2.5. And so, they've never won on a Thursday night against a divisional opponent. Tomlin's 0 for 8. That obviously is some of that voodoo trying to scare me. I still feel, I'll go down with the ship here, the Andrea Doria. I'm going down with the ship because I am not betting on the Cleveland Browns. They stink, and they're down tackles. And the Steelers are flat out better at everything. At everything. Now, all this high school bullshit, emotions, and the weather, and they have to go 2 hours to the west. Oh, God, how will they ever make it? And all this other nonsense. They are better than the Browns.
Way
6
better.
ways till Sunday. I don't want to hear it. So look at the Giants and their quarterback change. Not only have they changed quarterbacks, but I think Shane and Dable are an embarrassment to the league of how they are now. Did you see what they did? They made him play safety today at practice. Like, what is next? What is next? Like, that makes, I think Shane and Dable look like idiots the way they're treating Jones.
All right, a couple things here. Here's why they're doing it. It sounds crazy. So if you remember what happened with Deshaun Watson, different circumstances, but they were not going to let him play. They made him a scout team. The Texans did a scout team defensive back. So you fast forward several years later, the Giants cannot afford Daniel Jones to get hurt in any way because their concern is if he suffered a debilitating injury, he couldn't pass a physical. They don't want that money, the $30 million, to become fully guaranteed. That's why they're doing this. It's embarrassing. Tommy DeVito is going to start. And by the way, this is the 13th team to have multiple quarterbacks playing, starting. This is crazy. And how about them go with Tommy DeVito over Drew Lock? Now, Drew Lock is a more talented quarterback. This guy's a second-round pick. Tommy DeVito wasn't drafted. I get it. Tommy DeVito was there last year. He played okay football. He knows the system. But this is ridiculous. Why would you not want to see Drew Lock? They're paying Drew Lock $5 million this year. $1 million, $5 million. 1 year for $5 million. Get a look at him. See if you want to re-sign him as the backup quarterback, whoever's going to start next season. Tommy DeVito has no chance to ever be a starting NFL quarterback. He's a great story. Nobody thought the guy could play. And that's great for them. But you're not putting the best guy out there. But again, they think he fits the system. I just totally disagree with this one. This one is absolutely absurd that they're doing that.
Do you think that like, because earlier Carver High said that Mara did it because of business reasons, that he knows that every New Yorker and Italian that's a Giants fan, which there's millions of, they want the Italian cutlets guy in there, and he wants to make some money still this football season because it's a business decision. This isn't about Locke. It's about every New Yorker loves Tommy Cutlets. I mean, he was standing at, it's true, he was standing at Stuart Leonard selling fresh mozzarella to old ladies. My mother-in-law has outlived 9 popes. She wants to have sex with him. She told me, I want to sleep with Tommy Cutlets. She also was in love with Zach Wilson. She's like, I will marry Zach Wilson. She's like 109. I mean, she's like, she means business. Like, I'm telling you, that's why they did it.
Listen, if you're trying to win, you go through Lock. Okay, we already know.
Why would they want to win?
Tommy DeVito.
They need a number one quarterback. Why would they want to win? They want to lose.
Well, actually, Tommy DeVito was 3-3 last year, believe it or not. But the bottom line is, he's 3-3 since he's been there.
That'll hurt him.
Yeah, look, the bottom line is, you can't be tanking games. They're already bad enough. It doesn't take much for them to be bad. I don't buy any of that reason. None of those reasons make any sense to me. But again, it's like you ask yourself this question: why would you bring Drew Lock in to be the backup? He's been the backup all season. It's very rare. You know, it's one thing though, Scott. I'll say this: it's one thing if you're trying to evaluate the third string quarterback. If you think he had enough upside to do something for you, he doesn't. He has no chance to ever be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. Tommy DeVito. He's a third string quarterback. That's what he was all season to this point.
So do you think there's any possibility that they think that Locke, they gave him $5 million, that's what backups make in the NFL? Do you think that they want to see if DeVito can be worth that type of money as the backup next year and let Locke go and trade Locke?
Scott, he won't be on a contract next year, Locke, but they already know about DeVito. They've had him before. He's a scrambler, doesn't have a very good arm. Then he breaks down mentally, and everything doesn't look right.
So why is he playing?
Because they like the guy because he was there last year. And Locke's not a good athlete.
No, he can make money off Italians.
That's ridiculous.
No.
two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Listen, there's no one I like better than Adam Kaplan, but he has been drinking or something today. I don't know what's happening to him. He literally just told me he went back to. I was explaining that Woody Johnson is making decisions now, and he got obviously got rid of Joe Douglas, and then he and I said, is he going to be the ambassador to London? Yeah, and then his brother's going to take over, and he's the one that hired Joe Douglas. I'm like, well, he's an idiot. Because that guy, you told me he had the greatest draft in NFL history, and I got to tell you, that is the biggest crock of shack I've ever heard in my life. Not from you, but from everyone. Everyone said the Jets were going to the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, we're one quarterback away. We have the best defense in the NFL. They have nothing. They have nothing. Rodgers' career is over. Fat Joe Douglas is an idiot. And third of all, their defense is the worst defense in the NFL. The worst. They couldn't stop a runny nose. And don't just go ahead, tell me how wrong I am. I want to hear this. I want to hear how your genius front office in Florham Park. What a bunch of morons. Don't get me started. I already have pneumonia. I'm going to have 104 in about a minute. I'm getting so mad right now listening to this.
I want you to feel better. No, look, they severely underachieved, and they're going to have a total reboot of that football team. They need a quarterback is what they need, Scott.
They have a quarterback.
It didn't work.
He's awful.
He won't be back. There's no way.
He says he's coming back. He's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL.
It's not his choice. It's not, he's under contract next year, but it won't be his choice. What GM would want a 42-year-old quarterback? It ain't going to happen.
No way. All right, so let's go through some key injury updates and lineup changes. Lions, Colts, and Lucas Oil in Naptown.
Yeah, this is big. Sam Laporta, who was unreal with 10 touchdowns last year at tight end. He didn't play last week. Not that it made any difference. It didn't matter because they absolutely destroyed the Jaguars. But looks like Laporta's going to play. Barring a setback with his sprained shoulder, he's going to play. That's great. Now, you mentioned the Colts. Now, listen, they're still a long shot. It's not going to happen. They're not going to win the AFC South, but they're still hanging in it. Anthony Richardson played well last week against those said Jets. Richardson, by the way, is fine.
The Jets.
I know. I get it. But they're going to play the Lions this week, and they're going to be without their left tackle, Bernard Raymond. That's
All right,
not good.
Time out.
That's not good. Good.
Carver High, I still got 5 timeouts left. Carver High said on the show today that the Jets are one of the 3 worst franchises in the entire world of sports.
That's. Give me the other 2, though. Give me the other 2.
We don't have time. Let's move on to the next. Real quick, you know my schedule here. Niners and Packers. We got to be quick.
All right, George Kittle, this is the big one. You saw last week against Seattle without him. They struggled in the run and pass game. They need him back. He's got this lingering hamstring problem. Nick Bosa's got this lingering hip problem. They're concerned about that. Javarius Ward, they're hoping he plays this week, come back from his personal issue. We're wishing him well. He is starting to practice. And the Packers, this is the big one. Jair Alexander, their start cornerback. He's got this lingering knee problem. You worry about that because they're not deep at outside corner. But if you want to know why, Scott, the Niners are struggling, look no further their injury situation. They're underachieving. They're another team, Scott, that everyone thought would be great. I'll admit it, I did too. But they cannot get over the hump with these injuries.
I said that they would go 4-3 the rest of the way and only win 9 games. And they'll be lucky if they get a wild card, because that 5-5 team that we're looking at right now is exactly who they are. It's time for the fans' favorite segment on all of SportsGrid. SportsGrid with a bevy of internationally acclaimed but there's only one. Bust a cap in your ass. We start at 1 o'clock in Carolina, Kansas City, and the Panthers getting 11.
Ticket brokers' day off there in Charlotte. The Chiefs will bounce back in a big way and blow out the Panthers, who can't score.
Minnesota at Chicago, the Bears are getting 3.5. Speaking of awful.
Yeah, and Caleb Williams is regressed. They're still struggling. They blew that game last week. I expect the Vikings to take care of business and cover this number.
Tennessee's at Houston at NRG and H-Town. Houston is laying 8. Everyone beats up the Titans.
Yeah, that's a big number, but Houston's getting healthier. Nico Collins missed that 75-yard touchdown, which got called back. They look great against Dallas, and they'll blow out the Titans here.
Do the Colts cover the 7.5 at home at Lucas against the Lions?
The Lions win everywhere. They have another injury with Alex Anzalone, but the Lions will take care of that against a really good defense. Yeah, this is a really good defense of the Lions. I don't see Richardson getting the job done. I expect the Lions to cover this.
Anzalone took over for Tommy Cutlets at Stuart Leonard's, selling fresh mozzarella after he was done with his shift. Anzalone took that job next. Pats at Hard Rock in Miami Gardens against the Finns. Finns laying 7. They're still talking as though they're going to the playoffs. Wrong.
Boy, they're playing really well right now. The Patriots are not. The Patriots moved the ball last week, but they couldn't score. They couldn't finish it. Dolphins will take care of business.
So does Cutlets cover the 6 against Tampa at Snoopy?
No. First of all, the Bucs are going to get Mike Evans back unless he has a setback with his hamstring. That's big. Jamel Dean, their top corners, back off of IR. They were roll over Tommy Cutlets and the Giants.
Dallas at the dump in Landover against the Commodes. Washington laying 11.
It's really big, and I don't like the over 10 is crazy, but the Cowboys are terrible. Washington will take care of business.
Denver's at Vegas at Allegiant. It's more fun watching old ladies play slots in the casino and smoking cigarettes and drinking wine free than watching the Vegas Raiders. Nice hire of Antonio Pierce. He's done a great job this year at 2-8. They're getting 6. They're going to get their ass beat.
Yeah, bad roster, bad team. Denver will take care of business.
All right, Niners in Green Bay, the game of the day at Lambeau. It's Green Bay minus 2.5.
Yeah, I'm going back and forth with this one. I don't believe in the Niners anymore. They're very disappointing. They have too many injuries. I like the Packers to take care of business by 3 or 7.
Arizona laying 1 at Seattle at Lumen Field.
Arizona comes off their bye, but Seattle has to win this game or they're going to beat the Cardinals outright.
The Sunday night game, Philly laying 3 at the Rams.
Eagles have played very well so far the last 2 games, and they'll take care of business, and they'll win and cover this number.
My sources right now, story breaking, my sources are telling me that the Jets will hire Adam Kaplan as their new general manager to replace Fat Joe Douglas.
two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We love leftovers, but I love even more when outsiders make noise near Carver High Studio and what happens to them. I mean, there is just an unleashing of fury against those that don't understand what goes on when that red light is on.
They don't. They just can't figure it out. It is amazing, Scotty. Sometimes they just cannot figure it out. All right, let's finish. They can't figure it out. Let's finish with this. Last night, Syracuse women's basketball. Yes, that makes C2C today. Why? How about the postgame after losing to Albany? Say that again. Syracuse lost at home to Albany last night. Right. Head coach Felicia Leggett-Jack, who played at Syracuse as a player, now is back coaching her alma mater. She was very fired up after the loss, specifically to the amount of people that showed up at the game.
Nobody cares about our program. Nobody cares about women's basketball. It's evident how, it's not nobody's fault, but, the laughing and all that fun stuff, nobody's into it like we are, and that's okay. But I try to get our kids to understand, we got to be so locked into us that we don't see that the fan base is like 12 people here. We got to see that we can't see people that's not on the court, not really locked in. I'm glad I walked in when I did, so our players can see that nobody cares, man. We up here crying outside, and then we got a fun, let's go have a party in here. It's not you guys, it's everybody. And it's okay. But what's not okay is us not giving 100% for ourselves, man. This life lesson stuff we're talking about, man.
That is fantastic. Man.
It's
okay to have no fans.
There's 12 people at the game, she says. There's only 12 people here. I mean, and that Carrier Dome, that's a big place. And when there's nobody there, you could probably feel it.
The COVID crowd.
For that. Yes. Alex Ovechkin, the Capitals just announced. Alex Ovechkin, fractured left fibula. He will miss 4 to 6 weeks. He will be out. So he was on fire. That's unfortunate. Here we go. 10 games tonight in hockey. Let's do it. Islanders finish off a 5-game road trip in Detroit against the Red Wings tonight. Utah is in Boston. Of course, they just fired the coach. Maybe they get a bump there. Vegas is in Ottawa after the loss in Toronto last night. Carolina is in Jersey against the Devils. Colorado in Washington against the Caps.
Yeah. All right. So I like Detroit at home. I think Boston at home has to, get things turned around here. They looked like crap last night. I'll take Ottawa again tonight over Vegas if they're not going to try in their games on the road. They're just having a business trip with, clothes out of a suitcase. The Devils tonight in a pick'em at the Rock. Can we get a little Devils love tonight over a better team? The Canes are flat out better than them. And the Avs and Caps. No Ovechkin. The losing starts here. Give me Colorado in D.C.
We're not done. Tampa's in Columbus against the Jackets. San Jose is in St. Louis against the Blues. Florida in Chicago against the Blackhawks. Rangers are in Calgary for Alberta against the Flames. And the Wild are in Edmonton against Connor McDavid and the Oilers.
I'll take the Wild in an upset tonight at Rogers. I like the Rangers at Saddle Dome. I like the Panthers at the United Center on the west side of Chicago. I like the Blues at home over the Sharks. And I'm going to go Lightning, 4 wins in a row. They'll win in Columbus, Ohio.
There you go. There's your hockey for tonight. Chris Sale wins the NL Cy Young, expected. Tariq Skubal, unanimous winner of the AL Cy Young, also expected. They'll give out the MVPs tonight. We'll give you a news flash. It's Judge and Ohtani. They're going to win the MVPs tonight.
There you go.
Juan Soto reportedly wanted to know Hal Steinbrenner better and now feels comfortable that he does if he signs long-term. Hal only talks to Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole, allegedly, and Juan Soto wants to be in the circle of trust with Hal Steinbrenner if he stays with the Yankees. So
the circle of trust. I call it
the circle of trust.
J.
Hal said he could sign any player, too. Let's see if he puts that to the test, if he could sign any player that the Yankees want to. And finally, for me, ESPN plans to cancel
Thank God.
Around the Horn.
Another show we wiped out because we're better. Secondly, Woody's got a chicken neck. I just want to say that. I can't take it anymore. I can't look at him anymore. He looks better on Halloween than he does every day the rest of the year. GTD is next. Go to FerrallOnTheBench.com for everything else. Enjoy all the games tonight, even in the Bahamas, because tomorrow we'll give you another shot of Coast to Coast.
The two guys that can do it all.
Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Are they definitely done with Daniel Jones from this point? And any shot that Dable is off the sidelines, meaning he gets fired before next season?
They have a general manager in Joe Shane. Every big move has to get approval by ownership. So, look, the bottom line is they don't know who their future quarterback is past this season. Tommy DeVito's clearly not the answer. They don't have a Drew Lock's not the answer.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, hey, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you. Pinching your own cheek? Because I was looking down and did not know we were getting...
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.